Well, Merry Christmas, you filthy animals, from us to you. And could this market be setting up for a crypto Christmas miracle? Coins moving left, right, and center, and BTC potentially putting in a bottom. Well, after too many calories and too many scotches yesterday, we have fresh cups of coffee, fresh charts, and fresh perspectives after taking a little bit of well-deserved and much-needed time off. So stick around. I'm going to put all the coins that I'm looking at in the show notes below: BTC, ETH, AAVE, Sol, MATIC, Maker, FTT, and a few others, as I said, in the show notes below. So stick around. Let's dive in and see if there are some profits to be made. Stick around. Yes, what's up, gang? Tex here from UTG, UnityTradingGroup.com, and a very Merry Christmas to you, whether it be yesterday for us here in Australia or today in the States for you. If you are watching this today in the States, get off and get back to spending some time with your family. If you don't have any family to celebrate with today, then we're your family for today. So thank you very much for joining us. I'm going to have a look at a few coins here, and as I said, in the show notes below, I'll put the ones that I'm looking at. As I said, when you chart things with a fresh perspective, sometimes it can give you a new look at where things are headed. And I've just found a couple of things that I'm very interested in on BTC. But first, I'm going to dive into my other chart here on BTC, where we were looking at our Wyckoff schematic. And admittedly, based on this wick to the downside and the formations that we were making, I thought that we were going to have a retest of 42K. Could still be on the charts, but definitely, as I said in my my update about a week or so ago, we were making this formation. We were making this falling wedge formation and this descending triangle formation, both of which are, let's say, more bullish formations than they are bearish. But considering the market at the time, I was of the mind that we would head down and retest this 42K, as it was in this Wyckoff schematic that we've been speaking about since November 16, that we would have one last shakeout before the, let's say, the move back towards a range and more of an accumulation phase. So we didn't get that. That's awesome, because we've been dollar cost averaging in anyway. That was just another opportunity to pick up cheaper BTC, and in my opinion was going to be probably this, or the 38K zone was going to be the final leg of this move to the downside. And I'm still of the mind that we will find, let's say, a bottom on BTC in January, as I've been saying for the last few weeks. So as we go back towards my my Binance chart, I've just noticed a couple of things, and when you put on different indicators and different tools, again, it gives you this different perspective. So if we just chart up where we were here before, yep, you can see that we've had a little bit of a retest of this diagonal, or not a complete retest, but certainly a retest of this 38K zone. So if you're not aware of how to use Fibonacci's, we draw from our swing high to our swing low, always pulling from the left to the right. We know that we have our, let's say, our major levels on Fibonacci. We've got our 61 and our 58, which is considered our golden ratio, our golden pocket zone. We then get our 38, which is significant for pullbacks, which we exactly saw on this. And then we've got our 23, which often deals as a level of consolidation, whether it consolidates bullish before moves to the upside, where our 50 is the likely next level. Based on psychologically, the 50 is very, very important, but also it's the midpoint of the range, or we fall back towards, let's say, the original scene of the crime, where the most liquidity was before let's say, the reaction that we had from that. So as we pull back, our fibs being really, really well respected at the moment and telling a pretty telling story. We know that, again, psychologically, this is an important area for BTC, but we know that this is a great area for pullback. So I think now for BTC, the bulls really need to defend that 48K zone between, let's say 50 and 48 is going to have to be an important level for BTC to hold. From a bullish perspective, if we're going to see continued moves to the upside. Otherwise, we simply just end up in a range which, to me, almost looks a little bit like an accumulation range, which would make total sense. We know that when we are in our Wyckoff schematic, we have our cause and our effect, being our accumulation and our distribution. We know from here that we were in a let's say this was our our accumulate, or this was more so like our accumulation range. So let's say this was accumulation, we had our markup phase, we had our distribution range, and now we've got our markdown phase, and then we accumulate again. Whereas I thought we would accumulate between like 40 and 44K before moves back up, you know, like this sort of formation where we will go. So we'll go back up towards the range highs. So looking at where we are now, this is definitely, in my mind, a little bit of an accumulation zone. And I think it makes total sense. You know, when I said in my update like a week or so ago, there were some really heavy bids on Bitfinex from 46 to 42K, the heaviest ones down around the 42K zone, which means that people were buying heavily and accumulating in that area. So this makes total sense. When we were at 69K, we would have been praying for 38, for 40, for 42K, would we have not? So when we capitulate, all the retail traders sell out and the big boys start accumulating, this makes total sense for them to be buying up big in this area here. So as we head in towards Christmas in the United States today, you know, the end of the year, we would expect lower trading activity. And certainly from where things sit here, this looks like a pretty decent little accumulation zone. This was, I want to say, a sign of strength. So in that means this would more so be like our automatic reaction here when we had our selling climax being here. Our automatic reaction being a pretty quick move back up towards 49K zone before we consolidated, made another move up here. So this is our automatic reaction, our AR. This is then our second move up. And then as we sort of continue down, we didn't really get a secondary test, and nor do you need to get secondary tests of range lows in this. So because I wouldn't consider this to be organic. I would, you know, this was a very heavy targeted sell-off to capitulate the noobs or to capitulate the retail traders and to wipe out those who were long at these levels. And when we had these wicks to the downside, we saw like billions of dollars of liquidations, which makes total sense. But I certainly thought we would retest this zone, which we still could. But for me, this looks more like an accumulation zone, and then our lower points of supply before, you know, what we would consider a sign of strength. So certainly this is our last points of supply and our build-ups. You know, we would want to see something like, and this would make sense, as we continue back up towards the range high. So this would be our next little bit of liquidity here around 53, 54K. Again, the 53 zone being pretty bloody important for our bulls to hold, to give us an indication that we might head back up towards 58 or 60K zone. So if we put on our volume profile, and for me, I'll show you the settings that I have. Row size is 100, our value area is still 70, and that's all I changed. So if you go to your defaults, you'll just see that it's 24. I changed mine to 100 to give us a little bit more indication of where the liquidity is. So we can see here we've got our point of control, which is our POC. That is where the highest level of volume is for this particular range. As you zone out, it will give you more levels of liquidity. So certainly from this standpoint here, this is pretty important for the bulls to hold. As I said, that 48K zone was going to be important, and I've just put this on, so that is aligning with my bias. So we can see here between 49 and 48, let's say, like as I said, 50 to 48 is going to be important for the bulls to hold. If not, you know, 46 would be on the cards and then back down towards the range lows at 45.7, where from there I would probably start to be a little bit nervous, I guess. And look at this, I just noticed this as well. I didn't notice that before. A W bottom. Off topic, but yeah, definitely if we went back down towards 45, I'd probably be a little nervous of this. So for anyone here who is in, who's taken profits at this level or who didn't get into the market more heavily, being myself, because I was only accumulating and not jumping in too heavily, we've broken this trend line. So for myself, I would dare say that 48K would be next on the cards here for us. So let's put on some of our indicators. We'll get rid of some of the mess here as well. Actually, I'll keep this, and I'm gonna put that up so we can refer to that, whether I look good or I look like an idiot, both of which I'm going to share with you if it happens. So let's have a look at some of our indicators. So yeah, and again, so we've got our Tenkan and our Kijin, or our baseline and conversion line for those of you who are newer to Ichimoku. All of these, again, you can go to our guides page on our website, where we've got Wyckoff, Ichimoku, Fibonacci, web patterns, trading fractals, moving averages, you name it, it's on there. If we look at this now, we did have a break above, but we've got our crypto settings on here, so let's go back to our standard settings. Yeah, so our base and conversion lines are aligning pretty well here at this particular level on our 50. Our baseline often lines up on our standard settings with our 50 setting anyway. But then we've got our cloud support back down here at around, let's say, 48K, and then back down towards 48.1. So I like to change between these because they give you slightly different perspectives. I won't go into it. Jump on the Ichimoku thing on our website if you want to know more. But yeah, definitely the baseline looking pretty like the next level for me here on BTC. We can see also on our RSI, just Google RSI or search RSI on our YouTube channel for what that is, our relative strength index, indicating that we're getting to the top of this range where we were looking to be overbought. And if we look back historically, we've had a few runs to the upside past that, where I would be looking more so at our 80 as our top level for our RSI. So I'll put that on there. Why would I do that? Well, it's in the guide. It's in the video, rather. So we can see that we didn't even make our 80, but we do have 50 RSI support here now, which is important for us to be in bullish oscillator territory. Our steamroller came to the top here of our band, called the top perfectly. Our MACD has now started to fall. So there's clearly some people taking profits at these levels, and we've seen a double top here now from this previous high at on the 7th of December. If we look back to some of our other indicators, yep, hit perfectly the top of our gravy train cloud. Unicon is just absolutely banged these moves the whole time. It's been so accurate, and we can see there that our 200 MA was acting as a level of resistance. So we've got our MA consolidation here between our 50 and 100 MA aligning here really well at this 49.3 zone. So let's go to our daily time frame. Just get rid of some of this noise. Again, yeah, from an MA standpoint, 49.3 looking important, but we've just crossed over bearish on the daily time frame, and we can see how significant this RSI cross is on BTC. So even though Steamroller has given us the perfect bottom, as it often does, our MACD is now starting to lose strength here. Our bars are losing slight strength, and we look like we're converging a little bit more now on our 1 day. So certainly still some strength, but it looks like we're falling a little bit here on our MACD. So that trend line's broken. Let's see what happens between 50K and 48K. You know, I think it would cost you more to be playing this as an inexperienced trader than what it would to just wait for a break above 52K or 53K and then jump in. And I saw, for once, quite a clever piece of advice on Twitter that says that, you know, BTC at 51K is pretty expensive. BTC back down at around that, you know, let's say the mid 40s level is pretty cheap. But BTC above 53K is far cheaper because it gives you the confirmation that the strength is in and the range has broken out. So let's have a look at FUSD. Same thing again. I marked this up and I showed you this falling wedge pattern or this descending wedge pattern. I'll just go back to here a second, because this was really significant, and I'll just clean up some of this noise. This was super significant for ETH because we were in this channel since the 15th of June, where we hit the bottom of this channel twice. We hit the bottom of this channel again on the 10th of December and didn't have any moves up. And that's the reason why I've set this... I didn't. Huh. I'm going to do this now. Sorry, this is for myself. Cool. So yeah, so so that was perfect. So it looks like we've rejected again off this this previous let's say local area here at around 413. that's the area for me that ETH needs to break for us to be looking decent. And now if I go back and I have a look at again, I've been accumulating Ethereum, but I think my last buy was around 4K, and then held it down to 3.6. I don't think I got a buy around that area. I can't recall. But even though as we were putting in, and I shared this with you last week, this falling wedge, and then we had this 4-hour triangle formation, which was validated, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 retest and moved to the upside. I still didn't jump in, and that's because I just needed some time away from the chart. So kicking myself a little bit for that, but definitely now the market giving us some re-entry opportunities. So if we draw these trend lines from here, trend lines are subjective, we know, but again, it almost looks a little squeeze like. So if we look at this, that's probably a little bit better. Yeah, we know, again, formation, from a formation perspective, when this when we see this quite often, where we get squeezed into a previous high and we consolidate before we pop a little bit higher on Ethereum. So I think let's have a look at this from an MA standpoint. We've got a pretty decent little MA cluster, an MA consolidation down towards that 4,000 level on Ethereum. If we put on Ichimoku, we had a really beautiful edge-to-edge trade there. And again, you can see the validity of how well our Ichimoku cloud works for this. Damn, that's good. Yeah, we can see how well our Ichimoku cloud is acting as a level of resistance, but we have broken now outside of the cloud, and we've got our baseline support at around 4,000, and we would also have some RSI support around the 50 here. I'm still not too sure. I'm not going to lie. Like, I don't want to jump into anything prematurely because it's just not worth it. If we have a look here now at our volume profile, we can see that we're right on our point of control now. Yeah, and there's not much. This is a significant level for Ethereum. This is a significant level for Ethereum. So let's see what happens here. You can see where our next point of liquidity lie around 3.9, which aligns pretty well here, and then back down towards 3.7. So certainly for myself, based on these formations, again, if you're not in Ethereum, definitely worth having a little bit of a look. Ethereum will continue to be a standout next year, in my opinion. There's no doubt about that. So let's have a look at this from an MA standpoint on a one-day time frame. Yeah, a fair bit of a nice little bit of MA support here. We've got our MACD crossing up. We're not yet in bullish territory from an RSI standpoint, and RSI has been so telling this whole way, giving you the exact top. Pretty much, if you weren't trading with the RSI, giving you a really nice bottom here as well when we crossed in. And as I say to you quite often, you're far better off waiting for the RSI to be in bullish territory with a nice bullish engulfing candle on the daily or a nice daily close once we move into bullish RSI territory, because you can see this. We had a nice move to the upside, but then we consolidated, we hit a high, and then we busted back through. So, from a MACD standpoint, we've still got cloud resistance here. So if you were opting on the side of patience, definitely wait for a close above 4.2 in my opinion. And then, definitely 4.4 would be on the cards here. So I think we're in a nice little position here for some short-term profits if you want to have a play, but definitely, around Christmas and around a time like this when things are a little bit uncertain with the amount of people out of the market and a little bit less liquidity in the market at the moment, you might err on the side of caution. So let's have a look at AAVE, you motherfucker. I just missed my entry, and this was going to be my entry, 2037. I should have just set it for 204, you idiot. And that's how close I was to missing my entry. So I was like 10-15 cents off my entry on AAVE because I saw this formation, this broadening wedge pattern, and it looked like an accumulation cylinder. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, boof. So that would have been my target there at 250, and we broke straight above that. And we see this, I want to go back and see if I've still got the TA on there. Probably, nope, probably not. No. Okay, so we had the same thing here when ICX made that huge move, which we called inside the Discord. We caught that, and it was the same thing again. It was like, you know, 1, 2, 3 or something like, I don't know, something like that. But it was the same similar sort of formation where I was like, yeah, this looks a little bit like an accumulation cylinder. I'm definitely going to jump into this, and I missed. I missed it. So let's have a look at this now. We'll draw from our swing low to our swing high, look for some pullback opportunities on AAVE. So you can see again, fibs being respected pretty well. For myself, yeah, definitely would be looking around, maybe around that area. Maybe around this area, like our 38 for a pullback. And let's see if that lines up with any MAs. Not so much. So let's say between this area going to be important, I think between 230 and 225, we look at our Ichimoku. Baseline lines up pretty well with that around 240. So yeah, the 240 mark looks pretty relevant. But again, you may want to err on the side of caution as this market simmers and people clearly taking profit at these levels. Yeah, so people, people taking profit at these levels here. We go to a daily time frame. Again, hit the top of the RSI, top of the cloud. So there we go. So 224. There's a bit of confirmation there. We're seeing MACD weakness, top of the RSI cloud. Steamroller starting to turn. Didn't quite make our gravy train level. Hit our 200 MA, and definitely you'll note that a lot of coins are up against 200 MA resistance. Definitely, when we've seen a number of them breaking through, which I'll have a look at a second. But certainly once those levels break, so for AAVE, once it breaks that high at 285, there's, in my opinion, there's probably clear air up to around sort of 300, 320, 350 from looking at a fib standpoint. Definitely, if we go to the 2-day. For sure, yeah, for sure. So AAVE is definitely one that I'm going to have a bit of a play at. Looking at what Unicon and Gravy Train gave us the exact bottom. Damn it, on this one. Damn, that sucks. That would have been a monster trade, and I love trading AAVE as well because it's treated me well in the past. So again, we're squeezing. We're heading back up towards previous highs at around this this level here, this consolidation zone. Around 260 to 280. I'm hoping to see a punch above that, and then maybe a retest of this previous high. So let's sort of see. So what we're going to do, and I really like to do this. I like to set alerts for myself. So I can get alerts on Discord when things head back towards my levels. So 238. And I would encourage you to do the same as well. And you can do the same on our indicators too. For example, it would have given you could add the alert on the MA cross up, which would have given you the info. Damn it. I'm not even going to keep going into it because it pisses me off. All right, Sol. Let's have a look at Sol. Again, another one I didn't get into. It would have been a really nice trade. But you can see now here, from an MA standpoint, very strong. And you can see that our top MA being our thickest one here, which is our 200, every time that we've rejected off here, we've hit our MA cluster, which we've done. We've come back down, hit our MA cluster. We've had nice moves to the upside as we've broken above our 200 MA. The reason why, from this standpoint, this didn't happen so much is, in my opinion, because of the angle of the MA. And definitely we were flirting with more of a, a bullish, bearish RSI trend. Whereas for myself here now, we're pretty nicely in bullish RSI territory. And again, look at this. We're seeing this again now. Boom. Up, consolidate, boom, hit the top of the previous range, break through formal resistance, squeeze into a move, retest, and then head back up towards the upside. So from what I'm seeing here, this is looking tidy. From a technical standpoint, from the way I trade, this looks tidy. Definitely. Interesting. I'm gonna have a play on this. I wouldn't normally tell you that, but I'm definitely going to have a play. So not the best daily candle, but certainly bullish RSI, MACD turning up well. Steamroller still has room to move. We've not yet had Unicorn turn for us. So what I'm going to do, we're going to say Sol Unicorn 1 day uptrend confirmed. Text. So that's going to tell me when Unicorn goes green. And look at the accuracy of this damn thing. Man, it's beautiful. It's a work of art, this indicator. I love it. So, you know, we can see here as well as we clean things up. Get rid of all this noise. Previous highs here. You know, we're just flirting with that at the moment. Definitely. So what I would maybe like to see, let's see if and you'll see I do this a lot, and it drives our ads insane because he can see my channel because he's an admin in Discord, and it drives him absolutely bonkers. What I'm going to do is say cool. So now I'm informed that so you know we can definitely see. And I just got an alert on my phone because I forgot to set it going up. So what we might do is just move that up a touch so it's outside of that. So there you go. So you can see, you know, when you get an alert on my phone, on Discord, bang, I can just jump straight into to my charts and then set my buy level. So what we might see is a consolidation here before a move to the upside. So definitely, if you looked at that, what is that? That's a pretty tidy little range if you trade that a few times. So the 4-hour candle definitely indicating some selling while BTC and everything oof. Definitely. So there we go. So BTC headed down, everything headed down. Oh man, imagine how many people would have thought we were headed back up to the moon with this one. Sucked in. So yeah, so definitely 48K. We'll wait to see what happens around there. So that was Sol. XRP. Consolidating nicely here. You know, now that I think $1 was going to be a pretty significant level for Ethereum, for XRP based on this previous high, and it made it. Definitely made it. Nothing wrong with that. But it's broken this trend line now. So for myself, this is where I'm looking. Let's have a look at Unicorn. You looking a little ugly on the 4-hour. So we can see we've got a bit of volume in between here. Point of control lying back at around that 82 cent level. Pretty bearish from an RSI standpoint. This is looking kind of ugly. So I'd probably look back down towards like the 86 cent level. We've come up and we've now seen a bearish retest of this trend line. So that's probably going to be the level I'm looking at, 86 cents on XRP. MATIC. Respecting our channel very, very well. This looks a little FTT-ish when I was trading that really heavily a while ago, and it was respecting this channel very nicely. And does this look familiar or what? One day. Let's look at that. So again, looking pretty familiar. We saw this so often. We also saw it on XLM. I don't know if I had that there still. No, I don't. But it was in a channel as well for ages. Was it that one? Yeah, it was. So that was the channel on XLM that it couldn't hold. And you'll see this often across a lot of coins. So looking at where MATIC was, I had my my re-entry set back down at 230, didn't get it. So it's now made the top of this channel. We could probably, you know, just tidy that up a little bit. Man, beautiful. Really, really nice chart. So we also have just licked all-time highs on that. So for myself, you know, I'm not trading this now, but what I would want to see, and I think just like I think Luna recently as well, I think when MATIC clears 270, clear skies, and that will be off to the races. I really think you'll see some pretty decent things or continue to see pretty decent things from MATIC. Just want to see if there's an opportunity to... So, from a fib extension standpoint, you know, that this is going to be significant, in my opinion. 618. So I think those would be nice upside levels for MATIC once it clears this this 270 level. So I think this will be the next level to sort of have a pay attention to. It'll be 245. So I'm going to set Yep. So we'll go to a 4 hour now, have a squeeze. Yeah, so that's a tidy little range. So I think it'll continue to respect this range. It may consolidate a couple of times before continued moves to the upside. So definitely looking at this now, you know, even you could probably even set one here as a little bit of a warning. Just to give you a heads up, because I think it's important that, again, we're not looking for exact dollar amounts. AAVE is a perfect example of that, where like I jumped into a chart without, you know, I was looking for a dollar amount, and I always try and set my buys a little higher than what I anticipate, and I'm happy to be a few dollars down because I'm confident in the coin continuing to move back to the upside. But when you miss it by like 4 cents, that kills me. So it's always good to and this is a lesson for myself, set your alerts a little higher than your anticipated buy level, see what the coin is doing at that particular time, and then you can make an idea of whether you're going to jump into it or not. Alice USD, as you can see, that was my profit take one, so I'm probably a little bit, that my entry was back down here, but I'm probably a little down on this, or at least I've taken some profits on that, because again, you know, you saw this, you know, that sort of formation, this descending formation, a break to the upside. We've broken this level now, so I'm gonna keep that open for my own thoughts. So again, lining up pretty well. We're seeing an M top here. So for me, this level, I'm probably going to, admittedly, I probably should jump out of this. I don't think I had I don't know if I had a trailing stop on that one or not. So, and I always give myself a little bit of a 38 fib level, or what is that, 1355. How good was that take profit level though? Ooh, bang on. So some pretty decent sell-offs across the market at the moment, and I'm looking for that to be a double top. You know, when you see this, you see M tops, 1, 2, 3, and then you see W bottoms, 1, 2, 3. So yeah, we're seeing that now. Steamroller gave a pretty killer call on that. And again, you know, we've got this on our RSI. So some bearish activity happening there on that. 1355 will be the next level. We're probably going to get there. So I'll jump in and have a little bit of a look to see where that's going when I get the alert on that. Raven coin was another one that I charted, but I haven't been in it, of course. Again, this looks very similar to BTC. Bearish retest of that diagonal, put our fibs on, and see where that aligns for us now. So again, and the fibs do so much for you. And that would be a retest of this previous level here. So back around that sense, so crossing right down. Raven's not a coin that I have traded a lot, but we know, you know, Rev was shilling it for a very long time as well. And you can see the structure to the left is there's not much structure to the left once we break this level. And I think just to be safe, you would want to call a close above this level. So I think, well, yeah, once we close and break above that, then definitely, you know, 11 cents could be on the cards for sure on this. That probably looks a little better. So it's probably a bit too much of an area to cover. Let's have a look from an MA standpoint. Yeah, so that lines up pretty well. So our 10 and 20 MA sit really well aligned with that 90 cent level. We can see that we had, you know, our 200 MA acting as resistance, and you can see the teleport. It just goes straight up once it clears that MA cluster. And this is why I love trading with moving averages. And if you've been watching this long, I encourage you to go and have a look. We're at like 37 minutes, so I'll wrap this up shortly. Go and have a look at MAs on our YouTube channel and see why I trade so much with MAs. Again, Unicon giving us the call there. God damn, I love this thing. It is so good. So even if you had just taken a trade from MA up to the 200 MA, that would have been an almost 11% run. So that's pretty killer. So Raven coin, keep that one on your radar. A lot of coins setting up like this now, where they're testing and flirting with the 200 MA. And then you go to the daily standpoint, that will give you the next upper regions. Again, see our 50 MA acting as resistance here, our 10 and 21 MA, I might just move that up a touch, 10 and 21 MA giving you a level of support from here. We've had bullish confirmation on Unicon, but will that last? Not entirely sure. Again, confirmation on Gravy Train that this level is going to be significant for us. I'm not going to take an entry at that point, but I'm going to see what's happening at that level should something change. So and it lines up with our 38. So we've got 3 levels. So this is a really good lesson for you. So we've got 3 levels of confluence there. We've drawn from our swing low to our swing high, drawing from left to right. We've got Gravy Train with our MA support. We've got probably got our volume profile lining up there with a level of volume, not the best indicator. We've got Unicon aligning with our MA range between our 10, 21, 50, 100, 200. Even though things are still pointing down from an overall MA standpoint, we're now starting to find a consolidation zone on our lower MA timeframes. And then let's see what this line and our baseline lines up with that. This is art. I love it. So let's see what happens in that region. If that doesn't occur, then yeah, definitely, you know, our golden pocket zone ends up being the next level of things for us. What else do we want to have a look at before I wrap this up? Oh, Ray USD is one that I'm looking at the moment. It's a pretty obnoxious level to be considering on Ray, but definitely as you look at things from here, that one didn't play out, did it? If you're looking at things from here, probably should add in this as well. I think there's some nice upside potential on Ray, but it's a lower liquidity coin. So, you've just got to be careful with this to know what's going on. I wasn't in this trade, but what I like to do, and I'm happy to show you this, I like to chart things and then just walk away and come back to them. The reason why I don't trade lower liquidity coins is because I'd rather just put my money into a coin that's more liquid, that I can sit back and watch it appreciate in value, rather than trying to like catch these rapid moves on lower liquidity coins. It's not worth it. So I was wrong on this one, so I'd probably almost be stopped out on that. I'm going to leave that in. But you saw we had a nice break from this, and you're starting to get a bit of an indication now of how I trade. Trend line, bullish retest of that. See what Unicon has to say. So 100 MA being the resistance from here. We've still got our MAs going down. So I'm not super confident on this as of yet. But sometimes when you throw throw a little bit of money at it, it might be $100, might be $1,000, it might be a couple $1,000. Just throw a couple $1,000 at it and just see what happens with semi-tight stop losses. And then, it could be the next SHIB where things just go boom and they head up. You can see where we consolidated here before, really nice engulfing candle, and then establishing a really beautiful range here. So sometimes you look at coins like RLC, for example, or Theta that do this, that are sort of lower cap ish coins that have these really beautiful ranges, and that's a 31% range. So you can see now what I would hope to sort of see would be like this sort of move, and then a consolidation, and then as it sort of moves up in towards that level. So we could be making a little bit of a cup here in this rounded bottom formation, which we're seeing on a lot of coins at the moment. ETC is one that I did say I would chart. So ETC typically lags, anecdotally lags Ethereum. So when Ethereum has nice runs to the upside, ETC will typically follow. Now, from what you can see here, we're seeing the same thing as what I just showed you. We've got a nice rounded bottom on ETC. So let's have a look at Gravy Train. We haven't quite cleared this resistance as of yet. So we've still got our baseline acting as a level of resistance on here. And what you'll find with Fibonacci is that I like to use our Fibonacci standard settings as confirmation levels of an entry. And I like to use the double settings as confirmation levels of exits. Or, from here I might be looking at this sort of level with a cloud resistance, along with things like RSI and, MACD and stuff like that. So you can see that once we clear this zone, this is pretty sexy actually. Once we clear this zone, you can see that level's pretty decent. And we've got this volume chasm here, or this volume void here, which indicates that there's not a lot of buying or selling at that level. It's more so coordinated around here at our volume nodes. And then again, we start selling off between $45 and $47. So I like this rounded bottom on ETC. So we sort of got this. So we might see that sort of thing where we consolidate and then head up. So let's look at what Unicon is saying. Yeah, so pretty nice. So yeah, we've got MA support there. We're looking at the daily time frame. Now we're looking at the 4-hour time frame. We've got a nice, and you can see how well, I'm going to get rid of this. You can see that aligns pretty well with that volume node with our 200 MA, which sits at around 40.26. While we are consolidating here, we're doing sort of sideways actions with our MA timeframes. Our overall is still a little bit bearish, but you can see we're starting to like level out a little bit here now, where we might sort of see this. We see a consolidation, a move to the upside, might see a break above, a quick little snapback support, and then move back up towards that $45 mark, which would make sense with this previous high here at around 42 bucks. So you go, you blast straight through, you hit 42, you come back, consolidate a little bit, and then bang, you head back up towards the upside. That is an absolute mess. So again, you can just, I'm just giving you, the way I trade might not be the way you trade, and I appreciate that, because you could probably teach me a lot, and I might be able to teach you a few things as well. But this is how I look at altcoins, and I've shared hundreds of profitable trade setups over the last few years, and I've shared a number of not so profitable trade setups. But statistically, you know, I'm pretty confident in my alt trades. So, you know, we'll see how this plays out, particularly when the environment is right for it. Everyone's a genius in a bull market, right? Myself included. So let's see what happens here. You know, we're flirting with our MA at the moment. I'm going to set my indicator and my alert here. Crossing down, what is that? That's 36.35. So a lot of alerts set here. We'll see what happens on ETC. Definitely some nice pullback opportunities here for you currently as well. I'll just show you Maker just quickly as well, because of this, and it respected that so well. Damn, I should have taken an entry on that. That was killer. Yeah, so this formation is so typical of bottoms on altcoins, so typical. And this reminds me, like, I remember 2 or 3 years ago, before Ethereum started making that really nice upwards run from like $300. This was on the BTC pair. We had this formation. And I've seen this so many times before. My goodness, I've seen this formation so many times before. And while it's not a confirmed thing, of course, but, you know, I would expect to see, and it's very noisy when you have so many wicks like that, so you can tidy things up a little bit. Let me go something like that. Tidy that. So, you know, I would be very surprised if we didn't see Maker back up towards this 2981 level soon. That would make a lot of sense to me, looking at it from this sort of formation. So you can see we've cleared our MAs. Okay, there you go. So Gravy Train lines up well with that. Unicon, we might be, yeah, baseline resistance lines up very well with that level there. We've just hit 200 MA resistance, and we're looking back down now here at this level. So that's just going to give me a little bit of an indication of when we're heading back down towards that. We're flirting with our RSI resistance. I'm just going to bang on our volume profile, which gives us an indication of where things sit. So we can see that our point of control lies between, you know, really between 2418 and 2618. So you know, a retest. So, you know, here we are. So we might see something like this. Oh, that's horrendous. Oh, see a little something like this. Well, we kind of already did, almost. Like that, before we a retest of that level before we continue back up. And we can see on a 4-hour standpoint, nice little volume chasm between here and 2981. So I'm definitely going to have a squeeze at that. I'm going to move that up and see if we get a retest of this level before it moves to the upside. But again, you know, you've always got to look at what BTC is doing. BTC printing lower lows, printing some new lows here. But again, we're holding this MA level. So let's just see what happens. Let's be patient, and yeah, keep enjoying some time off while we let everything pull back. This is why I don't play on significant days, because you get hurt. I'd much rather just wait for a confirmed breakout of a consolidation zone or a you know, previous resistance levels, and then jump in and not worry about it till I'm in profit. So, man, this was 50 minutes. Whew. I got some things to go back through and have a look at to put some timestamps in for you guys. But yeah, so that gives you a pretty decent, I've not done one of these before, but I had some time up my sleeve. So a pretty decent indication of how I trade, what I look for, how I see this market. Yeah, I do, we do our updates, but this is probably a little bit more of an insight that I wouldn't normally share on such a longer time format video to show you how I set some trade setup. It's Sunday today. I always take time on a Sunday to set up my trades for the week. We've got weekly close tomorrow, so what I would be cautious of is an upside move into weekly close. Things looking promising, and then 2 or 3 hours after weekly close, we pull back heavily. So it's going to be important now between now and tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock when we do get weekly close to see what happens, and that will give you a pretty strong indication of what's to come for the week ahead. Ideally, let's see if we can close and hold above 52k. 53 would be a lot better. Get back into some RSI bullish territory on the 1 day time frame because we've just broken down below it, and see some more volume and momentum in this market. It's Christmas Day over in the States at the moment. Probably won't going to, a lot of people are looking for profits at this level anyway. So let's just happen, let's see what happens. Be patient. Profits are always going to be there. There's always going to be another trade. So anyway, I'm going to go make another coffee, take some Panadol, drink some water, get some fluids into me, and then I'll see you a little bit later on. I hope you take care, and hope you're making some profits with us when the things start to turn. Take care.